Today is Thursday, September the 8th, 2016. And when I woke up this morning, I saw some of the craziest news I've seen in a while on my social media timeline. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about Libertarian presidential candidate Gary Johnson on the Morning Joe show. Now, the Morning Joe, that's a show on MSNBC. And of course, they talk about politics and stuff like that. Now, as they're talking to Gary Johnson, having a conversation, the subject of Aleppo comes up. And the person asks him, hey, what do you think about Aleppo? What should be done? And his answer will completely shock you. Now, mind you, Gary Johnson is the Libertarian presidential candidate. He's running right now with his running mate, Bill Weld. This is the guy that could be the president by some stroke of miracle if somehow Trump and Hillary both drop out or he's the only one left. But this guy could be the president. Now, what I want to do right now is roll the clip, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. And after that's done, I'll come back and give you my final thoughts. So go ahead and roll it.
What would you do if you were elected about Aleppo?
About
Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?
You're kidding.
No.
Aleppo is in Syria. It's the epicenter of the refugee crisis.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Well, with regard to Syria, I do think that it's a mess. I think that the only way that we deal with Syria is to join hands with Russia to diplomatically bring that at an end. But when we've aligned ourselves with, when we've supported the opposition, the Free Syrian Army is also coupled with the Islamists, and then the fact that we're also supporting the Kurds, and it's just a mess, and that this is the result of regime change that we end up supporting, and inevitably these regime changes have led to a less safe world.
So Aleppo is the center of a lot of people's concerns across the planet about the terrible humanitarian crisis that's unfolding not only in Syria but especially in Aleppo. You asked, what is Aleppo? Do you really think that foreign policy is so insignificant that somebody running for president of the United States shouldn't even know what Aleppo is, where Aleppo is, why Aleppo is so important?
Well, no, I do understand Aleppo, and I understand the crisis that is going on, but when we involve ourselves militarily, when we involve ourselves in these humanitarian issues, we end up with a situation that in most cases is not better, and in many cases ends up being worse.
Okay, so you were able to see that. You see what's going on now. I mean, when I saw this, I was like, nah, like this can't be real. Gary Johnson is not just a new guy. Gary Johnson has been in politics for a very long time. He was a governor of New Mexico for 9 years, from 94 until 2003. His man, Bill Weld, his running mate, is a politician as well, who was in, I think it was Massachusetts as a governor from 91 to 97. And he is also a chair on the CFR, that's the Council on Foreign Relations. He's authored some of the documents that, want to put America towards the North American Union, having Canada, United States, and Mexico as one country. So this guy is not just a, just random person, Bill Weld that is, and now there is Gary Johnson, who is actually running for president. People try to defend him and say, oh, well, do you know all the cities in Syria? I don't know every city in Syria, but come on. How do you not know what Aleppo is? How do you not know that? Anybody that watches the news once a week for 15, 20 minutes, you know what Aleppo is. I mean, this picture right here on the screen before you, this has been all over the news for weeks now. For weeks. I mean, this is kind of like almost an iconic image. And every time you see the image, every time it's on the news, they talk about Aleppo, 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 Aleppo. How do you not know what Aleppo is? It does not make any sense. And it's really inexcusable for a politician. It's like, okay, Gary Johnson, if you were a governor of a state for almost a decade, how do you not know a major city in one of the most important regions in the world? Especially since your man is Bill Weld, who was a member of the CFR. He's the main one that wants to go and invade Syria and Iraq and Iran. How do you not know what Aleppo is? And the thing about it is, he didn't even know it was a city. He didn't even know it was a city. He didn't know what it was. You know, I'm not making that up, because in his explanation afterwards, and I'll place that on the screen before you, he was like, oh, I thought it was an acronym. An acronym? What acronym does Aleppo expand out to? Another libertarian, easily plundering possible opportunity? Come on, Gary. Like, and the thing about it is, shout out to libertarians. I like libertarians. I was on a libertarian podcast earlier this year. It's called Johnny Rocket Launchpad. And I was on another podcast. I'm not quite sure if they were libertarian, but they had a lot of the libertarian kind of point of view. They were kind of conservative, but at the same time, they're like, well, let's not, you know, put people in jail on drugs and stuff like that. So, no, they're cool people. The guys that I know, they're libertarian, they're good people, they're good guys. But Gary Johnson, I mean, come on, this dude here is a complete moron. He says he smokes weed, and he stopped smoking weed since he, you know, started to run this year. But has he really? Has he really stopped smoking weed? I mean, and the thing about it is, they say that weed impacts your memory. Maybe it does. And maybe it's a long-term effect. If you stop smoking weed after you decide to run for president this year in 2016, in this 2016 run, then maybe the weed smoke you had before just impacted your brain. How could you not know? Just by being in Washington, D.C., by being in politics for over 20 years, you have to hear Aleppo. There's no way you can't hear it. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's like living in the ghetto and not ever hearing a gunshot. It makes no sense. You have to hear it. You have to hear it. You're around it all the time. You have to hear it. I'm shocked, really. But the thing about it is, Gary Johnson, people talking about they want to vote for Gary Johnson. A lot of times, you know, not talking about people that are actually libertarian and want to have somebody that represents their values, even though he doesn't. Because the thing about Gary Johnson is that he's all for the TPP, TPA. He's all for restricting guns. He's all for Black Lives Matter. He's for all these things that are anti the NAP, the non-aggression principle, which is the bedrock of libertarianism. You know, somebody that would have been a better choice for a libertarian candidate would have been Rand Paul. You know, and I like Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul when he was running in the GOP. He would have been better fit in the Libertarian Party. I would vote for him if he was running. You know, if Trump wasn't so big the way he is, I'll vote for Rand Paul. Maybe even Ron Paul back when he was running in 2008. But the reality is they ran on a Republican ticket because that's the best way to get into office rather than being a libertarian. All you may do at the end of the day is play the spoiler, because there's no way that you're going to be able to get enough of the vote to get any traction to win. It's not going to be possible. The average person is not that into politics to even know what a libertarian is, let alone to go out and really do some due diligence and research to see if that person is going to be good for them. But the thing about Gary Johnson is that he's so far away from the NAP, the non-aggression principle of the libertarianism, which says that basically, you know, don't touch me and I won't touch you. You know, don't aggress upon people and then push things upon people. You know, don't restrict your body and drugs and stuff like that. That's pretty much what they're into. But the thing about it is he doesn't even really abide by that, right? And this man, Bill Weld, definitely doesn't abide by that. I mean, if you're in the CFR, you want war. You know, he said personally that he's a lifelong friend of Hillary Clinton.
Nice kid, knew her in her 20s. We shared an office on the Nixon impeachment. Real bond, lifelong. Seriously, not kidding.
And then you got Gary Johnson talking about, well, you know, I will force a Jew to bake a Nazi wedding cake. And he also said that calling illegal immigrants is incendiary.
You have defended President Obama's executive amnesty action, where he basically decided unilaterally that he was going to issue work visas to millions of adult illegal immigrants who are here in the country.
Undocumented, by the way. If you use the term illegal immigrants, that is very incendiary to our Hispanic population here in this country.
Why is that?
It just is. It just is. Just so that you know. Just so that you know, and you don't have to use that term.
But isn't the term accurate in the sense that they entered the country, they immigrated to the country illegally, so they are...
They came into this country because they couldn't get in legally, and the jobs existed.
And you or I would have done the same thing. And we're talking about now, coming from New Mexico, a population with 48% Hispanic, how's the crackdown on 11 million undocumented workers going to work?
So at a certain point, what is Gary Johnson really? Is he a libertarian that believes in the NAP? Does he believe in the things that Ron Paul, Rand Paul, the traditional people that are Libertarian Party, even somebody like Austin Peterson, who is kind of a wild card, kind of a strange guy, but I like Austin Peterson better than Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson just has a lot of money from Bill Weld because Bill Weld's in the CFR, and Bill Weld has big friends like one Miss Hillary Clinton. That's why he is the guy that's at the top, because he has the ability to get the money to get himself out there. And the thing about it is, I don't even really understand why he's doing it. He may be paid by Bill Weld via the CFR, via the Clinton Crime Foundation, to play the spoiler to try and get a lot of independent people to come over to him. Because I hear it a lot. People say, well, I don't like Trump, I'm going to vote Gary Johnson. And they don't even really know who Gary Johnson is. All they know is that he's an alternative from Hillary Clinton. They'll vote for Gary because they don't want to vote for Trump, and they don't want to be seen as some kind of, they don't want to be seen as a liberal. They don't want to be seen as soft for voting for Hillary. But the truth is that Gary may even be worse than Hillary. And this right here, talking about, I don't know what Aleppo is. I mean, that's just, it's really fascinating. If you've been in politics for 22 years, I mean, what were you doing for the whole 22 years? Were you just smoking weed with the taxpayer money and just forgetting everything? What are you really doing for that period of time to not know one of the most important cities? And I'm not saying you got to be a geographical expert now. I mean, I know pretty much all the major cities and pretty much where they're located on the map. I can pretty much point to it. You know, Lahore, Pakistan, Beijing, Shanghai. I can pretty much point to it and tell you where it is. I don't expect for him to be a geographical expert or someone that studies a map every day, but at least know where some of the most iconic images in the past few years come from, especially since this is a recent story that's in the news all the time. All you gotta do is watch TV. If you're in politics, if you are in the MSNBC studios with Joe Scarborough, talking to him right directly face to face, you have to, at some point when you're in that building, hear the word Aleppo. Weed smoke will damage your brain at a certain point. I'm convinced. You know, I'm not one of these guys that says that marijuana is a dangerous plant. I'm not one of them people that say you need to get locked up forever on that. But I'm saying at a certain point, how can you be a politician and don't know what Aleppo is? You don't even know what it's. You don't even know that it's a city. Astounding. So I had to get it off my chest. I mean, because really, I've been kind of tripping on that all day. How do you not know what Aleppo is? I'm repeating myself. I'm kind of rambling at this point. But what do you think? Do you think that it's okay that he does not know what Aleppo is? He did not know that it was a city. He thought it was an acronym. And I'm curious to know what the acronym was that he was thinking about. I mean, I don't know. People are trying to say that, oh, well, I thought it was an acronym too. What acronym could it have possibly been? How is it not? How do you not think about Syria right away when you hear Aleppo? Right? Or do you think that I'm correct in my assertion that if you're a politician that's trying to be the president of the United States of America, you must know where an important place is. You have to know where an important place is in the world where there's a conflict that's ongoing that involves the USA. Or am I overreacting? Am I saying too much for a guy who in reality has no chance of becoming the president? Whatever your thoughts, whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
About
Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?